What is with all these skeletons? Hi, I'm Andrew Rodriguez, and welcome to Psycho Bible, battling about psychology and theology. And I just want to do a short video giving a little reflection, some thoughts on a phenomenon I've been seeing over the past few years. Lawn skeletons. I've been seeing Halloween decorations staying out way past Halloween ending. In particular, these lawn skeletons. I feel like I'm Jerry Seinfeld. What is with all these skeletons? I don't get it. And they're huge. Like 12 feet tall. Are these like Nephilim skeletons? Giants from the Bible? Or is this, are we trying to bring back the giants? And this past year, I noticed there were more houses, at least in my neighborhood, my town, more houses decorated for Halloween than there were for Christmas. I've seen more enthusiasm for decorating for Halloween and the Halloween decorations staying up even longer than I'm seeing people decorate their houses with lights for Christmas. And even their Christmas decorations are usually the same decorations they use for Halloween. They're reusing the stuff from Halloween. They just keep the skeleton out there and put a Santa hat on top. Now, this video is not about whether or not Christians can celebrate Halloween or do trick-or-treating. That's a totally separate topic. I'm going to address that a little bit briefly here. There is a bit of a purpose for Halloween. So I'm not ranting against Halloween in and of itself. Halloween provides a season for us, a day, at least one day, to be like a type of release valve. A very controlled way to give attention to what's in the margin. To give vent to, and actually make mockery of things we consider scary. Of death. Of the monsters that really do exist in the unseen realm. So there's some value in that, even within a Christian society. But the fact that we're leaving these decorations out longer, and in particular the skeleton, I'm finding some symbolic significance here. So I want to talk about that a little bit. But first, am I crazy? Am I the only one seeing these? Are you seeing them in your town? Or is it just mine? To me, it's like they're popping up. It's almost like I see them more than I do lawn gnomes. Are they becoming the new gnome? Instead of a little lawn gnome, you're having a skeleton on your yard? Actually, after I made my script, I decided to do a little Google search and saw that there's a bunch of articles, people talking about this. They're like, what is with all these skeletons? And apparently it really was a trend. I just noticed it. I didn't realize how big the trend was. I saw articles from like New England and Massachusetts and New Jersey, obviously the greater Philadelphia area where I live, Seattle, a bunch of people all throughout the country talking about this trend that they were witnessing of these lawn skeletons. Apparently, it started back in 2020 when Home Depot was selling these giant lawn skeletons, like 12 feet tall, and people were using their stimulus checks from COVID to splurge and get these giant skeletons. At least that's how it became available. Why it became a trend, though? Like, why would you want this giant skeleton? Some people think, oh, it's just funny, it's cool. And my wife thinks, well, they leave it out longer because it's so big. Where are they going to put it? They got probably no room for it somewhere else. But one of the houses where I see this dude has tons of decorations every year for the major holidays, especially Christmas. Brings out tons of decorations. If he's got room for all those decorations, I'm sure he could put this skeleton somewhere else. But they choose to just leave the skeleton and the skeleton dog out all year long. And they just keep redecorating it. So I'm not so sure it's just because they don't have a place for it. I'm sure you can dismantle it and put it away. And I have seen some people put theirs away. But I'm wondering, what is this all about? So what are we to make of these skeletons? See, skeletons are not innately evil. We all have them. We need them to function in our bodies. They literally provide our structure and enable us to have strength and to move. They are good. Skeletons are good. However, a skeleton by itself is a symbol of death. Because without muscles and organs and skin and hair, the skeleton does not make a whole person. It's a sign of disintegration, a disunity of the different parts needed to make a whole person. So when we see a skeleton, we see that there's been a reduction of the person down to the bare minimum of what a person could be. Just the skeleton, just the frame. Because a person is the union of the physical and the spiritual. Even if we just focus on the physical, a body is the union of an array of parts and systems. Yeah, a circulatory system, a muscular system, a nervous system, your skin, your different organs, all put together in a cohesive manner. A body part by itself is dead. It cannot function according to its design, and it does no good. So you chop off an arm. That arm now is dead, and it cannot be used for its purpose. So when you reduce someone down to just their skeleton, the skeleton is a sign of death. And there's something significant about skeletons and skulls as cultural symbols, especially when their display goes way beyond the season designated for attending to themes of death and disintegration. Like, if you go and have a skeleton out for Halloween, I get that. But when it stays out longer, what is that saying about your own state of mind, about our society's state, and the way we understand things? You may have heard the term the culture of death. It's a way of describing our society post-sexual revolution, with contraception, abortion, the promotion of homosexuality and transgenderism, of sex without marital relationship. We are abandoning the design of sexuality as oriented toward the procreation of life, the protection of life, and the provision for life. The skeletons, not to mention the cultural obsession with the undead. Think about our obsession, our fascination with vampires and zombies or the Walking Dead. They're all symbols of the same thing. They're a symbol of our culture of death. But I believe that there's something particularly telling about the phenomenon of leaving these Halloween decorations out all year. It's a sign of a type of cynicism, a passive embrace of the nihilism of our society. I've talked about this in other videos, such as the one about abortion and antinatalism through a theology of the body lens, and my reflection on the movie Annihilation, that when we abandon true meaning and identity, we annihilate. And I don't think it's just a coincidence that this whole trend started in 2020. 2020, the year that it feels like it's just yesterday, but can't believe it's been 5 years since 2020, where we were in such a crisis as a society, scared of this virus wiping us out, the pandemic that we thought was going to be the end of our existence, and in many ways was our response to it really was the end of the society as we knew it. But yet death was on everyone's mind. Everyone was terrified of death. And so it makes sense to me that at that time you see this trend of the skeletons. Not to mention you had the BLM and Antifa riots, and a whole summer at least, of rioting, death of our society, burn it all down, and a revolution to overturn our society and the structures that keep us together, that bring cohesion to our society. We were at war within our society during that whole year, not to mention all the build up to it, and there was a pinnacle led up to that, and subsequently we're still dealing with the fallout of it all. So I don't think it's coincidence that this whole trend of the skeleton becoming like a lawn ornament or an icon of how you feel about life and about your society started in that year. Now you may say, these people are just leaving these skeletons out as a joke. It's just to be funny. And that's kind of the point I'm making. That we've got to this point of cynicism that this becomes a joke. Death has become a joke to us. Think about the social media trend of seeing people record others in terrible situations, being beat up, sometimes killed. When a crime is being committed, our first instinct is to get out our phones and record it. There's a loss of sensitivity. Scripture says that in the last days, people's hearts will grow cold. They will be desensitized. And that's what I think of when we talk about how this becomes our joke. It's humorous to us now to just make light of death. I mean, we've been making light of death for decades now. If you go back to 1973 and Roe v. Wade and just how we've used abortion as birth control now. So in preparing for this video, I'm like, let me go and get some more photos. I drove around my town and I took photos of the different spots where I've seen some of these skeletons that have been out since Halloween. It's now like the middle of July. Now, a couple of the houses just so happened to have taken their skeletons down like a month or so ago. But that's still about 5 or 6 months after Halloween ended. So I still was able to get a good amount of photos, even just within a few blocks of where I live. So let's take a look at some of these skeletons that I got photos of in my neighborhood. First, there's this one. The Gay Pride skeleton. Now, I saw this skeleton while going for a walk last week. So it's the first week of July. I know Monday was still part of June, but it was a few days into July, and it was still dressed up for Pride Month. Gay Pride Month. So the skeleton did not get the memo that Pride Month was over. And this is the one that actually sparked the idea to do this video. Because I've been talking about this phenomenon of the skeletons with my wife for the past few years. But when I saw this one, I thought, if this isn't a symbol of the culture of death, I don't know what is. What better encapsulates the culture of death than Pride Month, Gay Pride? You're not promoting life. When we're promoting sexual lifestyles that do not lead to the procreation of new life, that do not sustain a family, that lead to the destruction of a family, when a dad leaves his wife and his kids to go pursue his gay life and be his true self, when we promote things like becoming the opposite sex or being non-binary, all of it is doing is it's anti-sex, it's anti-gender, it's anti-life. See my other videos where I talked about how we actually need to call this out for being anti-life, anti-gender. We think, oh, we're all about gender. No, transgender, gender non-binary are actually anti-gender. They are denying the reality of what God made gender to be, what God made sex to be. The vehicle through which God brings new life into this world and through which we're meant to build family that can sustain life and nurture it and provide and protect for others and build society. The more we promote LGBTQ, the more we bring the death of our society. So, yeah, that to me is the perfect symbol of this culture of death. And of course now they change the decorations, but the death remains there. Every holiday now they just change the clothes on the skeleton. So we see this as well with the house with the skeleton and the dog skeleton. Yes, it might have started off as a funny joke, a little gag, but the fact it's being left out all year, it's not funny anymore. It stopped being humorous. Sort of like all the Marvel movies where they have to take every moment of seriousness and they have to throw in a joke to break the tension and to subvert expectations. It was humorous at first, but the shtick has gotten real old. And so, what's the point of it now? It's like we're not able to really look at the seriousness of what we're facing in our society. So we just turn it into a joke now. Then you have this one. It's a sailor. Sailor. Maybe it's a pirate. So not too certain if it is a pirate though, and it's not quite clear if it's actually a skeleton. I'm pretty sure it is a skeleton. They put enough clothes on it that you can't quite tell. But I'm like, pirates. Think about that as well. How much our society has romanticized pirates in our popular culture. What are pirates? They're murderers. They're pillagers. They're thieves. We really tend to forget what they really are. They're not heroes. They're not people we should emulate. And then this one, the skeleton couple on the porch. Looks funny at first, but think about that. This just really drives home the point that we're seeing in our society the death of the institution of marriage and family in our culture. It's all just a joke. So, not to rain a parade, if you like these skeletons because they're funny to you, I get it. I get it. Like, I was fascinated by them at first and thought they were funny, but the more I think about it, the more I realize this is telling. There's something that this is communicating about the state of our hearts as a society when this becomes what we want to adorn our yards with. And it's ugly, ultimately. It might be funny for a moment, but it's ultimately ugly. So it really brings to mind how much we need to get back to the transcendent realities as the foundation for our culture. The good, the true, and the beautiful. When we've embraced death, it's a sign we've lost the vision for who we truly are. We're integrated beings of spirit and body with irreducible inherent value. When you get in touch with that, you want to create life. You want to embrace life. You don't want to make a joke out of what life is or about what existence is. You want to promote true flourishing of our whole society and the self. So, those are my thoughts on the skeleton trend. Why, it's one thing if it was just made available. Yeah, Home Depot can sell a skeleton, but the fact that people were buying them. These are not cheap. $300 and some way more. So the fact people were willing to put out hard money for this really tells something about the state of our society. So, if I gave you something to think about, leave a comment, like, share, subscribe. And until next time, please know that Jesus loves you freely, fully, faithfully, and fruitfully. Take care. What is with all these skeletons? I don't get it.